Imagine a device that could revolutionize healthcare, run hundreds of blood tests from a single drop of blood, and make you feel like a futuristic genius just for trying it. But here's the twist. Elizabeth Holmes' famed Edison device was about as accurate as a toddler with a toy stethoscope. Buckle up, because this is the story of how one black turtleneck tech visionary fooled Silicon Valley, charmed billionaires, and almost convinced the world that science fiction was reality, until it all unraveled. The dream begins. In 2003, a 19-year-old Stanford dropout, Elizabeth Holmes, set out to disrupt healthcare with a single groundbreaking device, the Edison. It was meant to be a game-changer in blood testing, able to perform hundreds of tests from just a drop of blood. The Edison's appeal was immense. Imagine getting a complete blood panel done in minutes without needles. This vision wasn't just enticing, it was magnetic. Investors believed in the revolution Holmes promised, captivated by her vision of democratizing health information. From an early age, Holmes portrayed herself as a tech visionary, mimicking icons like Steve Jobs and consistently wearing black turtlenecks, a look that became her brand. The Edison, however, was still far from reality. Rather than acknowledging the technical roadblocks, Holmes pressed forward, building a narrative around the device, downplaying its flaws and exaggerating its potential, hyping the impossible. For Holmes, partnerships with established brands like Walgreens and Safeway were gold. These agreements weren't just business moves, they were endorsements from major corporations that would legitimize Theranos in the public eye. Walgreens, for example, agreed to install Edison machines in hundreds of stores, creating in-store wellness centers. Safeway also invested heavily, dedicating resources to incorporate Edison devices into their grocery stores, believing they would revolutionize access to healthcare. But Holmes knew the device wasn't ready. She instructed her team to rely on traditional lab equipment for many tests while telling investors and partners that the Edison was handling everything. Behind the scenes, the machine frequently malfunctioned, creating inaccurate results that were dangerous for patient care. Yet Holmes' charm and sheer conviction convinced even cautious executives that Theranos was poised to revolutionize healthcare. Science fiction as fact. Holmes' vision for the Edison device began to feel more like science fiction than science fact. The Edison device, which she claimed could run over 200 tests from a tiny drop of blood, was fundamentally flawed. Scientists and lab technicians within Theranos were aware that Edison struggled to produce accurate results and was incapable of handling the vast array of tests Holmes touted. These failures meant patients received incorrect diagnosis and faulty health information, including false positives for serious conditions like human immunodeficiency virus and cancer. Nevertheless, Holmes pushed the Edison into Walgreens stores, dismissing any concerns raised by her lab team. Holmes' conviction was unwavering. She brushed aside the doubters as lacking her vision, all while the company relied heavily on traditional testing machines to deliver results. The exaggerated claims about Edison's abilities eventually became central evidence in her fraud trial. Promises of financial gains. Holmes was not only building Theranos on lofty scientific promises, but on financial ones as well. She claimed that Theranos would pull in revenues of $100 million by 2014 and reach $1 billion by 2015, a stunning achievement for any startup, let alone one in the experimental health tech space. Internally, however, Theranos was struggling to make any real revenue, with the company earning close to zero in reality. Holmes' projections were pivotal in securing funding from big investors, who saw her figures as ambitious but achievable. Through these inflated numbers, Holmes projected a wildly profitable future that didn't exist, spinning financial narratives that kept the cash flowing. As investors bought into the supposed revenue potential, Holmes further cemented Theranos' image as a cutting-edge company on the brink of changing the healthcare industry. The whistleblowers? For years, Theranos employees had seen firsthand the discrepancies between the company's public image and the reality of its operations. Two employees, Tyler Schultz and Erica Chum, became pivotal whistleblowers, exposing the technical and ethical failings within Theranos. Schultz, the grandson of former U.S. Secretary of State and Theranos board member George Shultz, took personal risks by raising concerns. After internal attempts to address the problems failed, Schultz and Chum took their findings to the Wall Street Journal, leading to a series of investigative reports by journalist John Curriru. Curriru's articles highlighted shocking details about Theranos' practices, from tampering with data to concealing the Edison's inaccuracies. Holmes continued to deny these accusations, but the media exposure began to chip away at the pristine image she had cultivated for Theranos. The courtroom drama. The public scandal took a decisive turn in 2018 when federal authorities filed fraud charges against Holmes. The trial exposed the depths of her deception, revealing how she had manipulated investor expectations, overstated the Edison's capabilities, and faked financial success. Prosecutors presented damning evidence that Holmes had misled both investors and patients, putting health at risk and misrepresenting everything from partnerships with the military to endorsements by pharmaceutical giants. In court, Holmes was found to have knowingly engaged in misleading practices and was eventually convicted on several counts of fraud. The trial's evidence included emails, recorded conversations, and witness testimony, painting a stark picture of a company that had deceived investors and endangered patients. Her sentencing in 2022, with over 11 years in prison, marked the culmination of one of Silicon Valley's biggest fraud cases. Good intentions or pure deception? Throughout her trial, Holmes' defense argued she had genuinely believed in Theranos' potential and had never set out to deceive anyone. Her lawyers portrayed her as a dedicated entrepreneur whose only mistake was placing too much faith in the technology and her team. They claimed her actions stemmed from good intentions and the drive to succeed in a competitive industry. Holmes herself insisted that she was unaware of the Edison's shortcomings and that any misrepresentation was unintentional. However, the prosecution provided clear evidence of emails and meetings where Holmes was informed of the problems and actively chose to ignore them. The court found her culpable, concluding that her actions went far beyond mere ambition. The scandal's impact. The Theranos scandal has had a profound impact on Silicon Valley's move fast and break things culture. Investors, previously eager to support startups promising innovation, have become more cautious, especially in the health tech sector. Theranos' failure exposed the risks inherent in blind trust and minimal regulatory oversight. Startups now face increased pressure to substantiate claims, particularly in sectors affecting public health and safety. This heightened scrutiny is reshaping the entrepreneurial landscape, with investors demanding proof of concept and ethical business practices. The fallout from Theranos prompted industry leaders to reflect on the ethical implications of pushing untested technology into the market, underscoring the importance of transparency and responsibility. A blow to health innovation. In the aftermath of the scandal, investors became wary of health tech startups, even those with legitimate products. Theranos' high-profile implosion eroded confidence in the sector, slowing down funding for innovations that genuinely could have benefited public health. Entrepreneurs found themselves under pressure to prove they weren't the next Theranos, while many venture capitalists hesitated to invest in early-stage health tech. This slowdown in funding has delayed advancements in critical areas like personalized medicine and affordable diagnostics. Ironically, Holmes' original vision for accessible healthcare remains unmet, as the scandal's consequences have stymied the very progress Theranos set out to achieve. Holmes' sentence, leaving behind a legacy of deceit. The final chapter of the Theranos story came in November 2022, when Holmes was sentenced to over 11 years in prison. Her conviction on multiple counts of fraud cemented her legacy not as a pioneer in healthcare, but as a cautionary tale of unchecked ambition and ethical neglect. Holmes' story is a stark reminder that success achieved through deception is ultimately unsustainable. The fallout from Theranos continues to reverberate across Silicon Valley, with Holmes' journey from a celebrated innovator to a convicted fraudster serving as a lesson on the dangers of prioritizing vision over reality. As she faces years behind bars, the story of Elizabeth Holmes remains an enduring example of the high cost of deception in the pursuit of greatness. Thanks for joining us on this wild ride through the rise and fall of Theranos. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible stories that'll keep you on the edge of your seat. Stay tuned. There's always more to uncover.